Sometimes I find myself categorizing society into two kinds of people. There are people who grow up completely sedentary in their hometown. They were born there, they were raised there, they stayed there until they at least graduated high school. And then there are those who didn't. Shout out to my people who moved around during their childhood, whether it was once or many times. Picking up and leaving and starting over is such an adult experience to experience as a child. This weekend, I decided to make the 6-hour drive from LA to my hometown. I haven't been in a while. I honestly don't really know how to describe St. George. You will see it more throughout this video. You know, it's a very interesting place, to say the least. So let's get going. I'm feeling a little antsy about this drive tomorrow. Not because of the actual drive. I have done this drive many times, but I have only driven it once. And it was under the absolute worst circumstances. It was a very last minute thing. I was not expecting to have to suddenly go to my hometown like less than 12 hours after I was notified that I need to go to my hometown, aka the next morning. I haven't been to my hometown since then. And my grandma keeps asking me when I'm going to come visit her. There's something within me that's telling me to do it now. Like, I have not been to visit her in a very, very, very long time, because the last time I went, it was not to visit her. Something in me is just telling me to go this weekend. Oh, damn it. I used to think that I hated road trips so much, but I don't think I actually hate road trips. I think I just hate family vacations. No tea, no shade. Let's just say there was always one person that would fuck something up and it was never me, okay? I'm kidding. Not really, but this drive, honest to God, is so boring. I stopped halfway in Vegas to get a smoothie, and I was just so excited to see my grandma because she had absolutely no idea that I was coming to surprise her for the weekend. I listened to Lady Gaga's new album like 4 times all the way through on this drive, and I cried multiple times. But anyways, I eventually made it. Hello?
Oh, what's happening? Oh my God.
Hi. Surprise. I just came to see you for the weekend. Just by myself.
Did you know this?
Hell yes, I knew it.
I came to see your art. Of course, our first order of business was to talk and talk and talk and talk. We can talk for hours. I genuinely don't understand how we do it, but I feel like I just have so much to thank her for, and I just have such a great admiration and appreciation for her. She was the one who basically introduced me to art as a child. Any sort of little sewing project I did was always organized and orchestrated by her, and I'm just forever grateful to her for that.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of her art, we did a little impromptu interview talking about her newest piece that she has spent 4 years of her life creating. So, may I introduce my grandma Daisy and her new art piece. Here we go. Just act like you're just talking to me. Or yeah, you can just talk to me. Look at the camera if you want to. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Kathy Purdy.
How old are you?
I'm 73 years old.
How long have you been an artist?
I have been making fiber art for around 10 years.
But you've always been creative though, like
Yes,
even just with
very
like
creative.
owning your
Always a
the
maker.
stores.
And most of the things that I did on that, I had never done before. So it was all new to me. And luckily I had a lot of friends and people that were in the fiber art field who took me under their wing. And then during COVID, one woman, she took me under her wing, and she's like, yeah, come over and I'll teach you how to dye and how to do these night skies justice. And so I would go over there like 2 times a week, and I would wear my mask, and her husband would check my temperature at the door. And we just experimented and we played. And those days were just magic, because dye and ice is just like, you don't have a vision when you start. It just is what you get.
So from start to finish, how long did this project take you?
4 years. Working like every day, you know, in little bits and pieces.
Tell us a little bit about why these photos are so important to you.
Well, it was a place that my husband and I, we were going on a vacation to Lake Powell. We had driven through this little town of Duck Creek, and we both were like, wow, we were so moved by this little tiny village, and we thought, we need to go back there and investigate this. And so we started going there, and then we bought a piece of property, and it was just a little piece of dirt, and we would go and rake it all summer. And leaving Las Vegas and actually moving to the mountain was just It was magic. You guys would always come in the summer, and then you would always come over winter break. So you came when it was snowy and crazy.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young artists who are trying to just like believe in themselves when it comes to art and pursuing it and actually taking the time to learn about it?
It teaches you a lot of things, you know, not just skills, but patience, and to just start and don't even show it to anybody. Just like have it be your personal thing that you do for yourself. And it's a self-soother. You learn through art how to self-soothe.
What inspires you the most in life?
The forest floor and moving water. As
a
we
great
experienced today. You saw me how I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'll drag you off the trail to go look at a leaf for 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to say?
Nope, I'm all good.
Okay. Okay,
Love
good
you.
job. That was great.
Was it?
Yes, that was perfect.
Just getting ready. I'm gonna do my little skincare routine. I'm gonna do some dry brushing. Whenever I travel, my body gets so fucked up. Like my digestive system is like nuts right now. So I always bring this with me. So I also have my gua sha. This is my favorite one from OC, I think is how you say it. It looks like this. It's just like the perfect shape to like get into everywhere that I need to get into. I'm just gonna rapid fire through some products I've been using. This cleanser is so good. It's like a double cleanse in one, so I don't have to use two products. I've been using this facial oil, the OC Day Glow facial oil. I start at the jawline, go down. Always make sure you kind of finish by going down the neck. Go up here. Don't forget the back. Moisturizer. And then I'm gonna have to go borrow some sunscreen from my grandma because I forgot mine. Claudia, you did your makeup with this. Look out. No. Fuck me.
I didn't really have any set plans. I obviously knew that I wanted to spend time with my grandma, but then I also had this idea of like driving around to all of these old stomping grounds and all these old places that I used to go to, whether it was with my family or my friends or whatever it was. And then my grandma told me that she didn't want me to be sad. And I was like, yeah, I think if I did that, I literally would just be sad the rest of the day because I don't even know why. It just reminds me that my childhood is gone and I only can live through it through the memories and the photos that I have. I had so many growing pains leaving St. George. I left St. George when I was 14. My whole family moved up to northern Utah, but for a long time, it's weird because I so desperately wanted to be out of the situation that I was in St. George. And then when I left, I wanted nothing more than to go back, to realize that the whole world moves on without you. And a place that once was your whole world, it's just a really weird experience. And it's something that came with so much grief and sadness, but also so much growth. And I thank God every single day that I did move out of this tiny little hometown and that I got to experience the things that I experienced outside of it. And I got to meet the people that I got to meet. You know, I'm sure this is a thing in every single state and city, but there is such a mold here. And if you don't fit into it, it kind of makes, I don't want to say life a little bit harder, but it definitely alienates you a little bit.
How cute.
Good? So if you didn't know, I'm from Utah. I grew up feeling like an outcast for a lot of different reasons, but one of the main ones was definitely because I didn't grow up Mormon. My family did actually go to church for a little bit when I was younger. I don't really have any memory of it, but by the time I was like 4, 5, 6, we weren't going anymore. A lot of my closest, dearest friends are Mormon. I remember one time in elementary school, we were talking about religion, just like outside of recess, and somebody asked me, oh, like what religion are you? And I just didn't really understand how religion worked. Like I knew that everybody else was Mormon, but that was the only religion that I knew because it's all around me. I didn't really know how it worked. Like I didn't know if it was something that you were like assigned and so I said, oh, I don't have one. And I remember this girl just saying, oh no, like just say that you're Mormon, like just say that you're Mormon. And I remember being like, but I'm not. And I just didn't understand. And obviously we were fucking kids. A few years ago, she reached out to me and apologized for like pushing Mormonism on me. And I was like, girl, you're fine. This clearly is like more for you than it is for me, and it's fine. It's just like a funny memory that's just like so Utah. There were so many experiences and things in my life that revolved around Mormonism, even though I wasn't Mormon. In 4th grade, we went on a field trip out to the middle of nowhere in Utah. We took a bus probably like an hour and a half outside of Utah. Mormons do this thing called trek, where they basically, when the Mormon pioneers settled Utah, they basically like recreate that experience. So they get like all new assigned families. They dress up as pioneers. They obviously don't have any technology, and they go to the middle of Utah and they push wagons, like hand carts, for miles. And we had to do that in 4th grade for a school field trip, which I've brought this up to my mom a couple times. Like, how was that okay? And her reasoning was because it technically was like Utah state history, and it doesn't really have, I mean, it does have a lot to do with Mormonism, but it was more of like Utah state in itself and not about the Mormonism aspect. I remember for another field trip, we went to Brigham Young's house, who was a prophet in Mormonism. In 7th grade, my group of friends were all Mormon, and every Tuesday morning, they would go do baptisms for the dead at the temple, and I obviously wasn't invited. You have to have a temple recommend to be able to get inside the temple, which I did not have because I was not Mormon. And they would all go do that, and then they would all go to this place called Neater's, which is just like a cafe here that's famous for their French toast, and they would go do baptisms for the dead, they would go to Neater's, and then they would all come to school together. And I always just felt so bad and left out because it was just like a thing that they all looked forward to every week, and it was every single one of my friends, and I was just never invited. Even during the summer, like all of the girls would be talking about girls camp and like all of these different Mormon related activities and things that they would go and do that I obviously was not doing. And even the aspect of family too, like so many like perfect Mormon families, which I'm sure once you actually, now that I'm an adult, can realize, I'm sure a lot of these families weren't perfect, but even in my neighborhood, just like it felt so competitive. And then there was my family that was like, we were not even close to that. We obviously weren't Mormon. We had a lot of issues. We, I don't know, would like dress up and be outside looking crazy. And we just didn't fit into that mold whatsoever. I don't know. It's weird because it's not like we ever wanted to or tried to, and it's not something that we ever really felt bad about, but it's just something that's very noticeable and very palpable growing up. Even in school, we had seminary classes, which I didn't attend because on most school campuses here, there is a church building, and it's not even a credit that you get towards graduating. It's just like an extra elective that most people do take. Even too, now that I'm older, like I haven't lived in this city, my hometown, St. George, for almost 8 years now. And I haven't lived in Utah for 3. When I reflect back on these times and the people that I grew up with, it's really strange because so many people, like, it's such a Utah culture thing to never really leave. A lot of people are born here, raised here, have their kids here, stay here. Not that I feel scared to follow down my own path by any means, but it's definitely just something that I think about a lot of, like, I feel like I escaped. In a way. Shout out to my fellow kids who also had to just like uproot their life in the middle of their youth, or maybe you had to do it multiple times. People that move as kids or all the time, like I admire so much because that was definitely one of the most hardest experiences I ever had, was leaving my hometown. The last time I came to my hometown was to see my dad for the last time. It was the first time that all of my family had been together in a room, in his hospital room, in 10 years. I haven't been back since. That was last June. I remember driving back to LA that day and thinking, I don't know if I will ever go there again, which I know it's dramatic, but this place is just filled with a lot of trauma for me. Like, I just see the most random things and all of a sudden have flashbacks, which I learned is actually a real thing, emotional flashbacks. I was just talking to my therapist about this because I have them all the time. I drive past a Mormon temple in LA pretty frequently, and every time I see it, I'm like, that will follow me around. I will spot a Mormon temple from a mile away for the rest of my life. Okay, let's drive around and see how many churches I can find. You know all those churches in the intro? Yeah, it took me maybe 20 minutes to get a shot of all of those.
Hey, Mama.
I don't really know how else to end this video. I had a great time with my grandparents.
An artist in his work.
Yeah.
And I had a great time in St. George, too. I'm happy to report that no tears were shed. Shout out Zola. And I think that's all she wrote. So, until we meet again. I shit you not, there's a guy in front of me wearing a BYU shirt. He just took off a BYU hoodie. He came out carrying 3 Stanley cups from the gas station, and I just know they were all full of soda. Every single one. I just know. It's not even 9 in the morning yet. And I'm not judging, I'm just stating.